This is breaking news.
Rockland County officials are speaking out about the state of emergency declared there over the weekend. It comes as nearly 300 asylum seekers are expected to arrive from New York.
I'm sorry, our Social Services Commissioner. I'm sorry, she thought I demoted her. I'm sorry, Joan. It's less aggravation when you're the deputy. Yeah. Joan Silvestri has served this county for many, many years and has an innate understanding of exactly what the issues are when it comes to helping people here in Rockland County. Convict Neg Lakay, Executive Director Renol Julian. Catholic Charities Executive Director Dan Udine, who's here also with us. We also have here today County Attorney Tom Humbeck, Human Rights Commissioner Spencer Shibway, New York State Senator Bill Weber. Ken Zabrowski was supposed to be here today, but he could not make it. He sends his apologies. Assemblyman John McGowan is here. John, he's right over here. Rockland County Minority Leader Lon Hopstein is here. And Rockland County Legislator James Foley is here. Jim? Well, Jim's district is directly affected by this issue that we've been talking about. All right, let's get to it. Over the weekend, I declared a state of emergency in order to stop the city of New York from housing about 340 adult males at the Armani Inn and Suites in Orangeburg. And I'm going to get into the details shortly of exactly what that means. But I'll make something very clear. To my colleague from the NYPD, used to be years ago, Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, I'm going to be very clear about this. Rockland is not going to stand idly by while your administration, which boasts itself as a sanctuary city, diverts busloads of undocumented individuals to our county. We were here 2 months ago. Many of you were here with us, myself and Congressman Lawler, speaking about an alarm of a pending conflagration. Now we find the New York City mayor is holding that can of gasoline. We talked much about the true impact of what's happening with down the border, how people are coming up here to Rockland County, and how we were trying to help them. And there's a reason why our not-for-profits are here. A number of them understand innately what they have to deal with, and it's a very difficult challenge for all of them to make sure that people here in Rockland who are undocumented or not are able to avail themselves of services such as food pantries, which is being compromised as we sit here. All that's happening here is incentivizing illegal immigration, and it does nothing to support our infrastructure or the hardworking citizens we elected to serve. It is only draining taxpayer resources from the families who are already here and struggling, including our homeless, our low income, our disabled, our seniors, and our other vulnerable populations. So instead of trying to help our own families in the state of New York, they're using taxpayer dollars to fund up to 1 year of housing and services for non-citizens to relocate within our state, which the city of New York maybe utilize a fund to this absurd plan. I have some more details on that I will get into. Here is one question, not only for Mayor Adams, but also for the governor. Will you be offering all of the low-income families free housing, food, clothing, and more for up to a year, as the current state of our economy drives the cost of living home and apartment prices to the new record highs? What about the city declared itself a sanctuary city in December of 2016. Rockland County did not. It's as simple as that. And is supporting undocumented individuals while the county we have only 1/10 based on a 2020 census data. The population of Rockland County is 3.84% of New York City. The population of New York City, we are incapable of receiving and sustaining the volume of undocumented immigrants Mayor Eric Adams tends to send here. I heard a number a little bit earlier today when I was being briefed that we look at our homeless population, which ranges in the 70s somewhere. 340 people is about 5 times the amount of the homeless population here in Rockland County. That's a huge amount of change. And while city officials are alleging they will provide, I don't want to skip over anything here. Hold on 1 second. This crisis has been so extreme here in Rockland before this plan was announced that Rockland County was unprecedentedly deputized by the state of New York to take over building and fire code investigation and enforcement in the village of Spring Valley. Overcrowding already is an issue here, and sending busloads of people to this county will not only compound that issue, but put more lives at risk. And they have no choice but to move into unsafe and overcrowded homes. There will be no options. This is a temporary fix of sending people to hotels. And if anybody doesn't understand it's going to continue, we're going to show you proof of that also. We are already struggling with the national and organic migration of people into our county. On March 1st, as I mentioned earlier, myself and Congressman Lawler publicized our school district's rapidly gaining population that they can't contain or handle, an increase in foster children, nonprofit pantries running out of food, people who are here already, documented or not, who no longer are able to provide themselves, avail themselves of those services. And while city officials allege that they provide some short-term funding and service to these individuals, no realistic plans have been put together or communicated that will house, feed, and support these individuals in the long term, which is exactly what a plan would demand. So to safeguard the hard-working taxpayers in this county and their services, I've enacted a local state of emergency effective May 6, 2023 for the next 30 days. That state of emergency will prohibit other municipalities from bringing and housing people in the county and prohibit hotels from housing immigrants without a license. This is a county-wide effort. It is not directed at any one particular hotel. Mayor Adams can criticize Congress for a failure to establish a national decompression strategy, but it is hypocritical, and frankly, it is maddening to then turn around and do the exact same thing to a county that isn't even a sanctuary county. We are not equipped to humanely assist these individuals, which eventually we're going to have to do. But we do not have the infrastructure to do so, and our Social Service Commissioner has spoken to that many times in the past. The mayor's plan is the same as tossing people out into the middle of the ocean who can't swim and saying, go to shore. It can't work. It is not a viable option. Also, speaking to the issues of where we are now in Rockland County. Again, I mentioned earlier, this is not about immigration or anti-immigration. This is about practical reality of the impact on communities here in Rockland County when there is not an effective border policy in this country, and it's just working its way over here. I use the analogy of called a lifeboat. Lifeboats have a very good purpose to them. They will make sure that if there's a problem on that ship, people can get into the lifeboat, and within the capacity of the lifeboat, things will be fine. It's when you put too many people in the lifeboat, one thing guarantees to happen. The entire boat will capsize. That is where we are if we allow plans, reckless plans such as this, to continue. Social services funding cannot be spent on undocumented individuals under current regulations. We have no financial support to help those without legal status. Congress and the President need to wake up and do what needs to be done by fixing our broken immigration system once and for all. To the extent that somebody in federal government, besides our good Congressman, who has been working on this in a bipartisan way, can hear me, including our President, stop the games. Stop the political parlor tricks. You're hurting people, the same people you are supposedly trying to take care of. You're not helping anybody because you cannot solve a problem that I think has gone back maybe 40 years. I remember during the Reagan administration, there was discussion about border control and immigration, how we're going to fix it, what we're going to do. They're still talking about it 40 years ago, 40 years later. We cannot put the needs of the people who are being sent here ahead of our own residents. I will not accept that, and I just cannot see how that could be done. We cannot continue the illegal immigration that we're seeing, which is doing just the opposite. Now, I have a couple of items here I want to share that are very interesting in the debate I've been hearing about this. This is the road forward, a blueprint to address New York City's response to the asylum that's no good, to the asylum seekers crisis. This is it here. So this is not a situation that suddenly became an issue in New York City. This is a very detailed, though not workable, situation. But you have sections in here, plans of operations of the city. But this is what is out there right now, and this has been released by the mayor's office, so he is well aware of what this is all about. We have, in March, as I said, we were together here, and this is another item that was printed. This came from the road forward. Okay, and I'm going to read it off to you. For relocation within New York State, the recently released state budget includes $25 million to assist in the resettlement of certain families. The New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance will administer and oversee this program, which will include contracts with nonprofits who have proven experience in successfully resettling refugee populations. New York State will pay for up to 1 year of the cost of housing for these families. That is in its moving forward plan. Another item. The federal government requires asylum seekers, which, by the way, you hear this phrase many times. We're going to actually have you meet someone who came here under asylum and what really it is and what it is not. The federal government requires asylum seekers to wait for years to receive work permits. I know many of you have seen the commentary from the mayor's office that, they're going to do this for 4 months, and by then everything will be hunky-dory. We pushed back immediately. My Commissioner Silvestri of the Department of Social Services made it very clear. It's not 4 months. If you're lucky, and really lucky, it's 6 months. It's years. That's how long it takes. To date, New York City has spent more than $650 million on these efforts. We project spending, the city does, of $1.4 billion this fiscal year and $4.2 billion through the fiscal year on this next fiscal year in this crisis. Rockland County's budget is about $800 million. Think about that. That's about all I need to say about that. And this is another report here. Mayor Adams announces program to provide shelter option for asylum seekers already in care in nearby New York counties. This is dated May 5th, 2023. Obviously, it's contrary to the fact that this has been around for a little while already. But in here, I want to put something else to rest. As we know, this issue here is affecting Rockland County and Orange County, Newburgh area, Orange Lake area, I believe it is. According to his press release from the mayor's office, in addition to notifying New York State of these plans already, so they notified New York State, the mayors and county executives of both Orange Lake and Orangeburg, that's Steve Newhouse and Ed Day, by the way, as well as other local leaders have been notified of these plans. Let me be very clear and on the record. That is an utter, absolute lie. And if the mayor wants to challenge me on it, he can. I had a staff person text me on a Friday night wanting to speak to the Orangetown supervisor. Now, this is quite unusual, so I said to him, I said, look, I don't know who you are. I don't know whose number this is. I didn't recognize on my phone, obviously. I said, what I would suggest you do is contact the Orangetown police. They will take your information, contact the supervisor as appropriate, and if it's truly an emergency, then they'll talk. I got a follow-up message. Could you call me? So I called him. After 3 attempts to find out what was going on, which I felt was appropriate, after all, I am the Rockland County executive. Everything that happens in this county eventually is going to fall to my lap. What's the problem? What is so urgent to be calling the supervisor on a Friday night? 3 times I asked that question. 3 times I was deferred. I never got an answer. I did not find out anything about this plan until Saturday morning.
Right, so it
was Thursday.
Thursday night.
Friday morning. When it was a voicemail left on Supervisor Kenny's phone at the office. And it was vague at best. Nobody told us what hotel it was. Nobody told us how many people it was going to be. We went and did our own due diligence and found out the plan. That's how we found out. So if somebody's going to tell you, as the working press, that we were informed, that is utter nonsense. We were not informed. We had to figure it out ourselves. So I want everybody here to understand that, and so I want to clarify the record. So with that, let me get the other piece here. I would like to have some of the folks over here speak. You're probably sick of hearing about me from now. Okay, first off, I'd like to have Congressman Mike Lawler, our congressman of the 17th District, Mike? 17th District, say a few words. Michael?
Thanks, Ed. Well, good morning, and I want to thank County Executive Day and Supervisor Kenny for their leadership and their quick response. We're all here today to express our strong opposition to Mayor Eric Adams' plan to bus migrants from New York City, a sanctuary city, to Rockland County, which is not a sanctuary county. I am vehemently opposed to this plan, which would shift the costs for housing, food, and health care for folks who may be here illegally onto Rockland County and our municipalities. That is wildly unfair. In Mayor Adams' own words, when speaking about other states sending migrants to New York City, it is, quote unquote, morally bankrupt for New York City to be shipping their problem to Rockland County. Listen, the United States of America is a nation of immigrants. We all recognize that. And we welcome immigrants to our country. They enrich our economy, our culture, and our communities. The fact is that we welcome people from all over the world to come and build a better life for themselves and their families here legally. My wife is an immigrant. I've been through this process. She became a citizen 2.5 years ago. But to be clear, this system is fundamentally broken. The Biden administration's handling of the border crisis has been an abject failure and has led to the humanitarian and financial disaster that we're facing. We have tens of thousands of people illegally crossing the border every single day who have no real plan for acquiring housing, employment, or food other than to cross the border. And it puts strain on many communities across America, including New York City and its boroughs, which have taken in over 60,000 migrants. Now, Mayor Adams' plan to deal with that is to now send 340 single adult male migrants to Rockland County as a way to alleviate that strain. It's a farce, and it will not happen on our watch. Just recently, Governor Hochul's state budget handed $1 billion to New York City to help them deal with the migrant crisis. And that $1 billion was paid in part by taxpayers in this congressional district. Why on earth sending these migrants up to Rockland when he received the very assistance he was demanding? It's totally unacceptable. This isn't a partisan issue, it's a simple one. New York City is a sanctuary city. Rockland County is not. And we will not pay for the foolish policy decisions made by a city council that has been led by radical socialists. This decision would have an enormous impact on our community in Orangetown. Orangetown and Rockland County, again, are not sanctuary municipalities. And we are not prepared to handle this massive influx of migrants at this time. As the county executive pointed out, we had a press conference 2 months ago, and we talked about the strain on our social services department, our food banks, our shelters, our nonprofits. Adding additional hundreds, and this, let's be clear, I spoke to the mayor's office. I spoke to the mayor. This is the beginning of their plan. This is not the end of it. This is a quote-unquote pilot program. It's a total joke. This additional burden of hundreds of new arrivals may send these very nonprofit organizations and our social services department under. Not to mention, we have no idea who these people are. Neither County Executive Day nor my office has received any information pertaining to the background of these individuals. Do they have criminal backgrounds? Did they partake in criminal activity while traveling to the United States? Where are they from? Why is Mayor Adams only sending single adult males to locations where there are 3 universities and a high school within a mile of the hotel? Are they providing funding to Orangetown to hire additional police officers? Are they providing adequate funding to Rockland County to help social services fund the additional burden they're creating? What happens when the 4 months are up? Who's paying for it? Is New York City sending a blank check to Rockland County? There's a lot of questions here, and the Biden and Adams administration haven't answered a single one. And we're not alone in our opposition to this plan. Dozens of elected officials across the Hudson Valley have raised concerns about the humanitarian crisis created by the Biden administration's immigration policy and Mayor Adams' decision here. It's emphatically clear that the White House has no plan to handle this crisis, and it is unfair to shift this burden onto communities like ours that have not asked for it and are not prepared to handle it. With Title 42 set to expire this week, what's the plan? What is Joe Biden's plan to deal with this? You know, the president will be here in the Hudson Valley on Wednesday to speak about the debt ceiling. I would encourage every single one of you to be there and to ask him what his plan is to deal with the humanitarian crisis at our border and here in New York City and the Hudson Valley, created by his policies. The border crisis has real consequences for folks on the ground here. And rather than bloviating, President Biden and his administration need to get to work on securing our border. This week, House Republicans will be passing legislation to do just that. County Executive Day brought up the fact that immigration reform goes back almost 40 years. The last major immigration reform was under President Reagan. President Bush 43 tried to do it. There was a bipartisan bill in 2013. Both failed. It is long past time for Congress and the White House to act. It is why I have been working in a bipartisan way with some of my freshman colleagues to do that. But it requires everybody coming to the table, securing our border, dealing with the 11.5 million people who are here undocumented, and fixing our legal immigration system once and for all. We must come together as a nation and address this crisis and find a path that upholds our laws while being fair, just, and compassionate to those who want to come here in search of a better life. That is what this is about, and that is why I'm proud to stand here with the county executive.
Something that you did here today and you heard back in March, the very direct connection between what's going on at the border and the southern border and the impact upon here in Rockland County. 1,000 children and more in the East Ramapo School District have come in. Who's going to teach them? English is a second language. Who's going to help them? Foster care, Joan, 35% increase? 35% increase in foster care for children. For children. Who are being helped here? None. Nobody's getting helped. This is just getting kicked down the road further and further, and I applaud the Congressman for working hard to try to get that understanding through to people. This is not something that's hundreds, thousands of miles away. It's here, and it's hurting us. I'd like to ask Orangetown Supervisor Teresa Kenny, my partner in Orangetown, supervisor of that beautiful hamlet, to let us know what her thoughts on this matter, since it obviously affects our town directly. Teresa?
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I want to just start by acknowledging we do have my council, some of the town board members here. We have Brian Donahue, Tom Divity, and Jerry Batari. And unfortunately, the councilman is away and could not be here, but he stands with us in our objection to what's happening in our town. So to back up what Ed said, the first that Orangetown learned of this situation was on 11 o'clock on Friday when I got a call from Mayor Adams himself. He was very, this is something we're looking into. The Orangetown may get people, they may not get people. It was very much like something like that was a plan that was in the future, maybe weeks or months away. When I started to press down on some of like, well, how many are we talking, when, and all those kind of questions, he said, a member of my team will have to get back to you. I was immediately on the phone with Ed Day, who I have to thank very much so for responding, and I know he was away and he was taking our calls and we're working as a team. We quickly realized that this was probably something that was happening much sooner than the mayor had led me to believe. I did get a call back from a member of his team around 1:30 Friday afternoon, and when I started to ask some of the questions, I was told it would be imminent. Then I asked about the school districts, and that's when I learned that it was going to be single adult males. To this day, I can't get a number or a time when they're supposed to be arriving, and that's after calling them back on Saturday and saying, you know, the numbers in the press are changing, and people need to know the truth. They can't give me the truth. They don't know it, or they just don't want to tell me. So as we stand here today, we don't know how many are coming, and we don't know when they're coming. But most importantly, we don't know, despite asking, if these people have been vetted. Do they have criminal records? You are bringing upwards of 340 single men into the hamlet of Orangeburg. It's a little over 3 square miles with a population of about 4,600 people. It's a residential suburban community. And you're going to bring in 340 single men that we don't know if they have criminal records. So, you know, we deserve these answers in Orangetown. This is not fair to come to us on a Friday and say we're doing this. And to be clear, I asked the mayor, you're not asking me, this is a courtesy call, at which point he acknowledged that was the case. Leaving us with very short time to do our own investigation into what our legal rights are as a town. Within an hour of the phone call from the staff, I got pictures of hundreds of beds outside the hotel. I spoke to the mayor at 11 o'clock, and he didn't know if it was going to happen in Orangetown, and there were hundreds of beds 3 hours later. Based upon that, we had a special town board meeting. We hired outside counsel. We did an inspection of the premises yesterday. What our fire inspector and assistant building inspector found were piles of shirts that said social worker and supervisor, and a room full of medical supplies. This is going to be a New York City-run shelter in the town of Orangetown. Our town code does not allow that. Last night, they were served with the notice of violation. We have a town law that says transients up to no more than 30 days. So I don't know why the mayor thinks he could come and pay for people for 4 months or a year without checking if it's even legal with the municipality. So I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, you don't trump our laws. We are in Orangetown, we have our own town code. So the town is prepared to commence legal action if necessary, which looks like it may be, because we still can't get an answer when and who's coming, and if they've been vetted, and if they have criminal records. And yes, my residents are concerned. Rightfully so, they're concerned. This is not fair, and it's not fair to the people that they're bringing up, the asylum seekers. You're sticking them in a hotel in Orangeburg. Okay, they're asking them if they want to voluntarily come. Oh, okay, they know where Orangeburg is. Half the reporters had to ask me, is Orangeburg in Orangetown or Orangetown's in Orangeburg? It's not fair to them. There's no mass transportation. They're on Route 303 next to residential houses. What do they expect these individuals, 340, to do in Orangeburg? So I implore the mayor to rethink this, again, we're not a sanctuary town or county. We didn't ask for this, and I think at a minimum we need to all take a step back, and we in Orangetown deserve answers. More than a phone call where I have to pull things out of his mouth. I should have a detailed, this is what we plan to do. What happens at the end of 4 months? You're just going to say bye-bye and leave the county and us dealing with 340 single men without jobs? So I apologize if I sound a little excited, but I am, because this started on Friday afternoon, and I've been going straight since. And you know what? That's not fair either. We deserve notice. We deserve the right to ask questions. We deserve the right to know what the plan is, and we don't have that. So I want to thank Ed Day so much for helping. He had a bigger staff, and he stepped in, and he recognized the burden it would be on the county, and my town board for standing together. We all feel very much the same. So thank you, and thanks for your time.
When it comes down to finding the truth, you just heard the supervisor speak of when she was notified and what the content of the conversation was. Very specific. If this was in the mayor's hands and part of his administration, how come he was not able to share one thing about what was going on? This is a political two-step, and it should be an embarrassment to everybody in the city administration right now. And I want to reassure, Teresa brought a very good point up, that our law department, her inspections, our inspectors in the health department, law enforcement, we're all working together to ensure the people of Rockland County, people of Orangetown, wherever they are protected and safe, that nobody will come into this county or that town and compromise living conditions, put people in harm's way. Nothing will be allowed along those lines. I just want to make it very, very clear that we are working together on a common goal of ensuring the people in Rockland County are safe and that things are being done correctly. We'd like to ask our Department of Social Services Commissioner, Joan Silvestri, to offer some thoughts on it. She's been on the ground on this for some time. She's been around doing this for quite a period of time, but there are a lot of young children and older people and other folks who have had need, and because of Joan and her staff at Social Services, they've been able to successfully help them. Now, this challenge may compromise that in a very significant way. So with that, Joan.
Good morning. Thank you all for coming. Ed and I and Congressman Lawler sat here a few months back warning what we see happening now. We talked about our infrastructure. We talked about what we were capable of doing and what we were not capable of doing. And now we see, again, like the supervisor received notice, I received notice even later in the day from the HRA commissioner in the city of New York. And it was not a question, could we? It was, you will. These people are coming. And again, not a lot of information, not time frames other than it's imminent, no plan. And that is very troublesome since nobody should be sending homeless people to another county. You don't do that. You have to work together. And New York City is just not doing that right now. As far as what we're doing, Ed mentioned that we have a very low homeless population in Rockland County, and that's not by accident. That's hard work. That's setting up programs over time, and that's working with our nonprofits, our community partners. with our governmental leaders to make sure that that happens, that we provide services that are humane to people, that get people housed. And it's not necessarily just citizens. We've done this because we've had a natural migration of folks that may be asylum seekers, undocumented, non-citizens that have come to Rockland over the years. We have high populations of Haitians, Hispanics that make Rockland their home, that we're compassionate and they're part of our community. But they've come here on a natural migration that has allowed us to provide services in a manner in which we could. And right now, to go from 80 some odd homeless folks, and this is no doubt that these 340 people are homeless. This is just transitional housing. They're homeless. We cannot accommodate that. The folks that are coming to Rockland naturally have linkages here. They have anchors here. They have families that are here. And those families help provide the support. Our nonprofits provide the support. The county provides support to our nonprofits to do that. But the folks that the mayor is trying to send here now, as far as we know, have no linkages to our county, no natural supports. And that is going to create an undue burden on the county. Thank you.
Everybody's going to get sick of this. I'm going to continue to make my point. You heard the discussion with our Social Services Commissioner. Here's the plan. We didn't know about this plan. What the city of New York is doing is more akin to human trafficking than providing services. The best way I can describe it. Yeah, I will bring this up again, don't worry. Okay, there's just two other gentlemen I do want to introduce here. The Executive Director of Convict Neg Laquais, Renaud Julian, a very strong voice in the Haitian American community, who also can share some thoughts on exactly what actual people go through when it comes to seeking and gaining asylum. We have two people here today with their little boy. I think they're out in the back somewhere. But Renaud, if you wouldn't mind come up and share some thoughts, please. Thank you.
Good morning. I am the proud Executive Director of the only immigrant community center for now in Rockland County, which is Convict Neg Laquais. Before I say anything, over the years, there is one word every time that I hear it that drives me crazy. We immigrants, we are not illegal. We are not illegal. Even using the term documented or undocumented, that drives me crazy. But please, we immigrants, we are not illegal. A lot of us, we come here to better our life because our country, and believe it or not, I am not trying to blame people, but a lot of foreign governments have something to do with what most of us in Haiti, Cuba, Nicaragua, Venezuela, a lot of countries like we are going through these days, a lot of foreign governments have a lot to do with it. And Commissioner Silvestri, well said. Well said. What I really want to say, Rockland County is not, even though we are being getting immigrants for years, county executive, but Rockland County is not ready for what is going on these days, on the news. Because the thing is, I don't know if most of you know or have ever spent a day of the life of an immigrant. It is crazy, it is frustrating, because the thing is, when the people come here, they need a place to stay. Okay? They need to apply for work permit, which costs $410. They need a place to go to, to fill out the application. They need someone to hold their hand to take them to DSS. They need someone to take them to Catholic charities. They need someone to take them everywhere. Right now, even though, like I said, the county of Rockland has been providing a lot of help to immigrant population, but we don't really have what it takes to really receive over 300 people. Right now, in the Haitian community, we are dealing with what we call the I-134A, which is the Biden humanitarian approval, like for Haitian, Nicaragua, Venezuelan, and Cuba. So guess what, guys? I just received word. The Biden administration is going to add 3 new countries. So the way, again, we immigrant work, we go places where we have our people. So I expect most of the new people who will be coming here will be coming to Rockland. So therefore, this is the time, maybe like for Rockland County, for us to really have an immigrant talk. So to really find out what the immigrants are looking for, what we need. And lastly, please, I'm begging the press and I'm begging all of you here, please, we are not illegal. We are not illegal. Before, when someone crosses the border, again, they have to vet them. They have to, they have to have, a background, they have to have a background test on them before they release them. Okay? And I have 2 people here with me today, 3, 2.5, 2 and a baby. So they are here through the Biden administration. I'm pretty sure the media, if most of you speak French, you will be able to have a French conversation with them for them to tell you if they didn't have DSS, Catholic Charities, and Combat Neglakai, their life would be hell. So therefore, again, thank you very much, County Executive, to have this. I really think this is a great beginning. Again, we are not illegal. Thank you.
Last but certainly not least, we have a great organization here, Catholic Charities, Rockland County. They do amazing work on the ground, taking care of people, and they see exactly what is going on, and they act accordingly. They take care of some of the people who need the care in the worst way. So when Dan saw this, Dan Udine, the executive director of Catholic Charities, when they saw this, they were compelled to come down and share some thoughts with you, because they want to make sure the record's straight and the record's right, and exactly what you're hearing from certain people, what it will accomplish and what it won't accomplish, and what it will make worse. Dan Udine, executive director, Catholic Charities. Dan.
Good morning. As Ed said, I'm Dan Udine. I'm the Executive Director of Catholic Charities Community Services of Rockland County. We've been providing support and assistance to the most vulnerable residents of Rockland County since 1996. We believe in compassion, love, and respect for all people, especially those who are poor and vulnerable. At Catholic Charities in Rockland, we work with thousands of people each year, non-Catholic and Catholic alike, providing food, case management, emergency assistance, and yes, immigration supports. Most of the people who come to Catholic Charities are from the immigrant community, both documented, undocumented, it doesn't matter. They need help, and we try to help. We try to give them a sense of hope for the future. I can tell you that the first thing newly arrived immigrants ask us is, where can I get a job? They're not looking for a handout, they're looking to move up. The demand for our services has grown dramatically, as it has amongst our colleagues. In April, over 475 households came to our food pantry for food. That's more than double the number that we had 3 years ago before COVID. We also operate the Rockland County Warming Center for homeless in our county. And in February, we averaged over 60 guests a night. That's 50% more than we had any previous year. And we had over 220 individuals come to the program. And finally, there is a serious shortage of affordable housing in Rockland. In 2022, we worked with over 100 households to help them remain sheltered. This is a national crisis, and it's our hope that the federal government will work more closely with all parties at the state and local levels to develop effective systems for meeting the needs of these most vulnerable people. Thank you.
Okay, these were just two organizations of many that here in Rockland County helped a lot of people. United Way has been really a key quarterback in this effort, Stephen Pappas. I would urge any of you who have curiosity about further information about what is being done here in Rockland County for those in need, certainly please contact them. We all work together. We do things the right way. We don't need somebody dropping things on us by surprise. Because as we said, this was no surprise, obviously. So anyway, my biggest concern as county executive right now is that we have a number of lifelines that we throw out there to people to make them get through their day, the days that are very, very difficult, more difficult than they should be. But as we see things like this happen, those lifelines get stretched, and stretched, and eventually they end up in the water. And there's nothing to help anybody. We cannot have that. We will not have that. And we're speaking for all the people of Rockland County. So with that, the formal part is to be closed, and we'll take questions. Yes, ma'am.
You're quoted as saying that the police are ready. Can you explain what that means? Are they going to be like stalking the
No. Police are ready to let us know when people are coming in. Okay, if they see buses coming in, things that are not part of what they would normally see on patrol, but they're letting us know if there's any information coming, because you know why? Nobody's telling us anything. You've heard elected official after elected official ask a simple question. Out of respect for this county, tell us what's going on. We're not evil people. We want to work with you. We haven't got that. So we're left, as I said earlier on, we found out what hotel it was. Why? Not because we were told, because we did due diligence, and part of it was law enforcement looking at it, because they are investigators. So that's pretty much what they're not there to do anything else beyond that, frankly. Yes, sir.
What's your suggestion for a solution, and also the cost per day per person?
My suggestion for we don't need a solution. We need the city to get out of our hair. I can't make that more clear. Our solutions we will work out here. We have the talent, we have the people, we have the organizations. We can do quite well without any help from the city of New York. The city of New York right now is on the edge of making things much, much worse, destroying many more lives, hurting many more people. That is what Mayor Adams and his plan is going to do. And we are just, hopefully he will see this eventually and understand that, number one, it's wrong. Number two, we will not allow it. Yes.
County Executive, what is the state's role in this, if any? Is the mayor making this decision by fiat? I mean, did he?
As a matter of fact, it's a very good question. We have two state representatives. We have Bill Weber, our senator here. Part of the budget process, obviously, this was part of. So I'll let Bill speak to that. Bill.
So, to answer your question, I got a call. My office in Albany got a call from the mayor's office, probably around 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon, basically not asking or not giving us an opportunity, just basically saying, well, this is a courtesy call. We're letting you know. We expect with the termination of Title 42 that the city shelters in the city will be overrun, so we're moving some residents to Rockland County. So that's the notice that we got. About 10 minutes later, we looked on social media and we saw the mattresses being delivered to the hotel. So we got no information on the state level. It was basically just the city, the mayor's office, indicating to us that they're coming and deal with it.
Well, I'm curious to know if the governor does speak about this, which I don't believe she has.
I haven't heard her speak on it.
Could she force you to take the migrants? Could she say, you have to do it?
That's probably a legal question of which I don't know the answer to, but some of the locals can speak to that.
I'm just going to speak from the town of Orangetown standpoint. Governor, mayor, they do not override Orangetown's town law. Again, it's leaving us to know what they're doing, but from all indications from the release, from the comments, so they're going to house them for 4 months. That violates Orangetown Town Code. And no, so if the governor cannot make the town of Orangetown ignore its town codes, and I will let.
Let me just hold on. Let me just comment on a few things. I spoke to Karen Keogh, Secretary of the Governor, and I spoke to Mayor Adams directly. And I asked Secretary Keogh what the state's involvement is with Mayor Adams' decision. And she said that they had been in touch with New York City. They've been trying to help New York City in the budget. They gave $1 billion to help New York City. Mayor Adams, as part of his frustration over the past many months, was demanding dollars to deal with this. Okay, so New York City is getting $1 billion in the state budget to deal with this. She said that they had no knowledge of how Rockland County or the town of Orangetown or the hamlet of Orangeburg were chosen. She said they were not involved in that decision-making process, but they have been working with New York City. Mayor Adams said that the nonprofit organization that they have been working with as part of their plan to deal with the migrant crisis is the one that made the determination of how to, choose this location. They reached out to hotels in the area to see what they can do to accommodate. They did nothing to coordinate with the local elected officials on the ground. They did nothing to communicate with the county executive, with the town supervisor, to see if this is even possible, given, as Supervisor Kenny pointed out, the town code. I was asked this morning in an interview about a regional approach and the need to assist New York City. If it's a regional approach, then there needs to be communication and coordination. There has not been communication and coordination. And Mayor Adams called it morally bankrupt when governors from southern states sent migrants up to New York City without coordination and communication. His actions here today are morally bankrupt, period.
Congressman, can I follow up on the point that you just made? So, you're talking a lot about money, and the money was put into the state budget, but I think from the city's perspective, the problem is space. They're having trouble finding the space in New York City to house all of those who are coming here. So, I mean, you're talking about money, and they got the money.
Okay, it was very interesting. Here we go again. Tony, to your question. A plan. This is not a plan. This is a reaction, number one. Number two, I find it interesting that $1 billion of taxpayer money, $1 billion, $1 billion, let that sink in a little bit, $1 billion went to the city of New York, and he still doesn't know what to do with it. I would be drawn and quartered here in Rockland if I ran my government that way, and rightfully so. We had problems here in Rockland County, some severe fiscal problems. You know what we did? We made plans, and we implemented them. We asked people to do more with less, and they did so. We went from nearly being bankrupt to tied for first in the state of New York for fiscal health. Number one. I mean, the fact that the governor is saying, I know nothing, we haven't, no contact, forgetting elected officials, no contact to the organizations who are actually on the ground. No calls at all. If you all cannot see this for the nonsense that it is, and morally bankrupt, Mike, is a great way of putting it, but it's utter nonsense.
So
to your question.
County executive is this plan or lack thereof,
right,
as it stands right now, from your perspective, it's not happening.
No, it's not happening.
Okay, so therefore, all the unanswered questions that you have about financing, have they been vetted, are they criminals, it's really irrelevant, because
hopefully.
Is there wiggle room that ultimately it can happen?
Okay.
Or are you saying categorically, even if our questions are answered?
All right, let me be clear. We will make every effort to ensure that this plan does not go forward in Rockland County. Okay, I didn't get a crystal ball. Some people think I had one, but I don't have one of those. I'd like to get one, but I don't know what the next step is. We are monitoring what's going on. We're working together with our law departments. Everybody is on the same page here in Rockland County, so we're going to make every effort to ensure it doesn't happen. Can I say absolutely it will never happen? I can't see what the next step is. Could Governor Hochul have an emergency order of her own? The only good thing is she can't do it unilaterally. She needs the legislature to approve it. So it's a lot of possibilities.
But even if those questions are answered, it doesn't sound like, at least from your perspective, it would be enough to convince you to say, okay, let's make it.
Oh, no. Thank you. New York City, we don't need you. Thank you. We have the talent here in Rockland County to do what has to be done for the entirety of the government and all the people of Rockland County. Just leave us be. We're a separate government. As was pointed out to your question, the state cannot tell us what to do, cannot tell the towns what to do, the county what to do. We're fine here. Yes.
County Executive Day, or Supervisor King, I believe you first brought this up. Can you talk about what legal recourse there is? What are the actual plans to find a way to stand in the way of this? If you've already developed them, if you've already filed some sort of suit. And then separately, It's clear the timing is really up in the air on this, and obviously you guys don't support it, but is anything at all being done to prepare for this potential eventuality? So legal resource and then prepare.
Okay, the legal resource is the state of emergency. And it's the state of emergency that I declared on May 6th. That's the legal resource.
Are you bringing sort of lawsuit against the city
Not,
or the state?
as
How do you make sure this doesn't happen?
well, the state of emergency of itself gives me the authority to do what we're doing. So right now, that's what we are.
Turn buses away.
Can we turn buses away? We will. Inquire.
Stop
Our law enforcement personnel would inquire if they saw a bus and there was some indication that it was people, migrants coming up, and ask them what was going on.
So would people be physically blocked from getting off the bus if the Armani?
Well, if they do that, then the hotel who's affected is going to have to deal with the issue of the state of emergency, which includes a $2,000 fine per violation, which is each person, Bob, obviously, per day. And also, again, if worse came to worse, it's a misdemeanor. But we're not looking to arrest people here.
But it doesn't have a CLO, correct?
Right. So,
okay.
so the town of Orangetown served the property owner with a notice of violation, which is basically the first step that says, pursuant to your certificate of occupancy, this is what you can do. And under their certificate of occupancy, it says no more transient use for no more than 30 days. Based upon what our inspector saw yesterday, it was clear, and the press releases, that they're talking about 4 months. That is not compliant with what they have a certificate of occupancy for. So the town is prepared to bring in a preliminary injunction action if it comes to that. But again, we served the notice of violation yesterday. I know they were going back to meet with the judges. When they went yesterday, there was just some employees there. They were meeting with the general manager this morning, and we'll be, reviewing it later today.
No steps made yet on the
No,
injunction.
no, yeah, papers are ready to go at any minute, but they have not gone yet.
Understood, but if a bus of migrants arrives at 5 p.m. tonight, what happens?
Well, look, again, it's going to be the same issue with the same emergency. They risk. So they have the notice of violation. There's penalties. We bring them into court. There's penalties there. They have the state of emergency. There's potential violations there. So again, we're not a police.
Are those penalties though against the hotel or are they against the city?
The hotel.
Of New York?
The hotel.
So it's your hope that
And
the
city.
hotel
Did you
takes
walk
the
City-
hotel
city
and
and
says,
hotel.
You can't come in here because I'm getting hammered with fines, rather
They'll be
than
operating
us
illegally.
saying, turn the bus
Let me
around.
get our county attorney here. We have one attorney as a supervisor, believe it or not. County attorney can speak.
I may be going back to that job after this.
Can speak directly to what would happen if? Your question, Sarah.
I can speak to the state of emergency. Under the state of emergency order, the city is prohibited from engaging in programs that transport or house people in Rockland County without a written agreement from the county executive. There's room for talking, there's room for figuring out something that the county can handle. As you can hear here, the county has an issue with migrants right now, has support for migrants right now, and we're not going to back off on that support, but we can't take this spike of migrants.
What is your name, sir?
Oh, Thomas Humbach,
How do you spell Humbach?
H-U-M-B-A-C-H,
And you're a
county attorney.
One more question for the county executive.
Well, it's just to finish the
Sorry,
answer.
okay.
The second part of it is hotels, motels, multiple residences are prohibited from entering into agreements with any municipality without meeting certain criteria. And they'll get a license issued by the county. These criteria are meant to guide things, they're regulations, so that we can control the amount of migration here that is this programmatic municipality-sponsored migration. And once we can get our arms around it and we know we have the levels of support, then it's a different story than uncontrolled outside municipalities externalizing their costs on us, and we'll be able to be helpful.
What would it take to extend that state of emergency and when would that be decided?
The regulation, the state of emergency itself has to be extended every 30 days, and it's the county executive's determination to do so. And the order has to be extended every 5 days, but it's indefinite. Oh, by the way, just so we all know, Mayor Adams has his own state of emergency about the same thing. If you read our state of emergency, we quote his state of emergency for the reasons why we have to do what we do. So this is not an unprecedented step. So, after you, Mr.
So, in speaking with the mayor's office, I want to back something up that Teresa said. When the inspectors went and looked at the hotel, it's clear it's set up to be a shelter. The mayor's office has said they are going to be providing housing, health care, laundry service, food. They are setting it up as a shelter in total violation of the town code and of the county's laws. It is totally unacceptable. And the mayor and his team have made it clear. This is, quote unquote, a pilot program. They are looking to expand this into other municipalities across the Hudson Valley, Long Island, potentially even New York City, New Jersey. Who knows? Because they are not communicating, they are not cooperating, and the governor should be embarrassed. New York City does not have jurisdiction over any other municipality. And if the governor's office has been involved, as they say they are, then they should be communicating with everyone. And they should be making it clear that this is unacceptable. Instead, they have their head buried in the sand. It's embarrassing.
So, just as a kind of a summary here, if you would, Ed, and we're talking about 340 single adult males. New York City, I understand, is a sanctuary city, but it took in 60,000. When people hear those numbers, in the city maybe, they wonder, what is 340 people?